Hi Siri, I'm looking for a new podcast, one that preferably is hosted by a UF Hall of Famer, one that airs every weekday that would bring me everything I need to know about the Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions. Siri, is there such a show?
Have you heard of PodUp with Matthews in the morning on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or any podcast platform?
Oh my gosh, why didn't I think of that? UF Hall of Famer Shane Matthews has a show every weekday. I'm going to go check it out tomorrow. Thanks, Siri.
Good morning. It's a live edition of PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. It's Wednesday. We'll have JC in a minute. We'll have Mike Morgan from the SEC Network. If you missed it, Gators beat Stetson, hit 7 home runs. I think Big Jack hit 2 of them. They will now head to Fayetteville, Arkansas to battle the Hogs this weekend in a huge series. Softball tonight against the Lady Semis here in town, and then they will head to Athens to face Georgia. SEC Men's Golf Championship, that's where we're broadcasting live from here at Sea Island Golf Resort. Cranks up this morning. So good luck to the boys up in Sea Island. JC, you're on the Take No More hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. If you want to give the text line a text, it is 355-374-65. JC, good morning. What's happening?
Well, so I'm down on very far south of us all in Key West. Are
you going to go take a picture at the most southern tip of the United States?
Now,
be a tourist, JC.
I will. I'm going to head down that way. I think that's the southernmost spot in the domestically, and I think there's a spot on the island of Hawaii that is the actual southernmost for like the 50 states. But on the continental USA, this is it. And man, it is this just reminds me of like an American version of a Caribbean island down here. It's really nice. And so I'm down here on business, also visiting some friends and doing some important things down here. And then I'll be back, I want to say stateside, but I am stateside, but I'll be back on Friday. QB, down here, sports is
Did you drive or fly, JC?
No, I definitely, absolutely 100% flew. There's no driving for me, but it was a very easy flight. From Miami, it was 31 minutes. And from Orlando to Miami, it's about 39 minutes. I just had to drive to Orlando. And if I had driven from Gainesville to here, I probably would have gotten here at the same time. But it's just the effort of driving that far for 8 hours for an old guy like me is just not fun.
What about your minivan? Have you purchased your minivan yet?
That's coming. Don't worry, that's coming. But minivans down here, man, it's tight quarters down here. You got to drive something small down here. QB, this place does not have what you would say a real footprint of the sports world. This is more about Ernest Hemingway.
Nobody gives a damn about sports down there.
Right, not really. But you do have a sports bar, and there was one that I saw last night called Sloppy Joe's, I think is what it's called. And I was watching the playoffs, the NBA, and the hockey, of course. And, as I was getting ready for the show this morning, I was thinking to myself, well, what do I talk about when I'm in Key West? And when C. Irby texted the show on Monday and said, hey, dude, mix in some orange and blue, that's exactly what I did. So I brought this hat with me down here, and I've not seen another Florida hat or even a Florida State hat down here for that matter, or a Miami hat. But I was looking at the football schedule from last year, QB, and the Florida Gators lost by 3 to Arkansas. They lost by 2 to Missouri, and they and those were probably the closest losses. And instead, they could have easily won 7, as we've talked about before. But your guy, Graham Mertz, just looking at his numbers on the game log, and I just thought I'd bring this up today because why not, right? So how about 73% completion percentage? How about 20 touchdowns and only 3 interceptions? And as you mentioned, my God, it's like those 3 interceptions could have been avoided with some better luck. And I'm just looking at this thinking to myself, wow, this guy really had a good year and almost 3,000 yards passing. So I just thought I'd bring that out. I don't know why. And you're laughing because somebody probably texted something. So go ahead and tell me what it was. What was it?
Well, I got to pull it up because it went away on my laptop, but I'm gonna pull it up here on the phone. Okay. Our man Tony said. Facebook Live brought to you by Metal Law. He said are those cabinets made of rich mahogany?
This is my man Rick's book collection. He was a professor at Louisiana State University, by the way, in New Orleans, at the branch in New Orleans. And, there's some old stuff here. This is kind of like you go back in time when you come to Key West, Tony. But speaking of Tony, I went to the world famous Captain Tony's bar, and they have these stools with famous people's names on them. And Mike Leach, the Mississippi State coach who unfortunately passed away not very long ago, has his stool hanging up there next to some John F. Kennedy's stool was up there. His stool was up there next to John F. Kennedy's. And I sat on David Allen Coe's stool last night, and I sat on some guy named Walker. I don't know, Jim Walker, whoever. But I sat on David Allen Coe's stool. So everybody who listens to country music in Gainesville will know who David Allen Coe is.
All right. On YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, 31 Ember says, it looks like the Gators will be signing a top-ranked O-lineman out of the transfer portal, kid from Southern Cal.
Good.
Yeah. So, it's interesting. I also saw where Will Norman, who was a highly recruited kid, I think I don't know where he was from, but he transferred from the Gators last year at the end of the season to Marshall. He's back into the portal. Didn't even play a down for Marshall. So it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So
keep Graham Mertz clean, and you're going to be very happy, folks. That's
important. The more I look at the schedule, people keep talking about the schedule. I ain't worried about the damn schedule, because I've tried to tell many people, and we've talked about it on this program. How many times have people complained about our schedule from the regards of too many cupcakes, whatever? We got a great schedule, and there's probably two teams on that schedule that I think we have trouble beating.
Really?
That would be Georgia and Texas.
Well, there's also a road game to Florida State and a road game to Mississippi State, but you also have.
I'm saying, JC, just listen to me here.
I am.
When you look at that schedule, those two teams jump out and say they're probably better than us. Mm-hmm. I don't know how many other teams. People could say Ole Miss. I'm not. Ole Miss is going to be great, but Ole Miss has a lot of pieces that they have to put together and go play. I've seen that movie too many times. We'll see. But I forgot what I wanted to bring up. Now,
you've got a 4-game stretch, actually a 5-game stretch without a break, that has Georgia, Texas, LSU, Mississippi, and Florida State. And I'm not so sure anybody in the country can say that in 5 straight weeks.
I think Florida State's going to go way back. They're going to have quarterback issues. I'm telling you right now.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's
if you're going to base your season on DJ Uiagalelei.
Oh, right. Yeah.
You got problems.
I get it. But, that's a very hot rivalry. It's in Tallahassee, and it's coming off a tough game against Mississippi. But listen, I agree with you. I think if you look at these first 6 games, these first 5 games, they're very doable. Miami, Samford, A&M, Mississippi State, UCF, and then a road trip to Rocky Top, and then Kentucky comes here. Tell me why there's not 5 wins there. Tell me why
I don't know why you can't win them all.
Sure,
Daniel says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Melton Law, Jimmy Walker, Dynamite. Is that the dude from? Is that him?
That might have been him from Good Times. Yeah, the show in the 70s with John Amos and Bernadette Stannis, who was Thelma. That was JJ's sister. And I forgot what Flo's name was. I don't remember the actor. Esther Roll. That's who it was. I remember that show. I watched it. So maybe whose stool I sat on. Yeah, Jimmy Walker. There you go.
So we're back. Concrete builds firm foundations for generations. You stand on it. We stand by it. We got JC here. And I had a very important point I wanted to bring up, and I totally forgot what it is, and I can't remember.
Darn. Write it down, QB. You got to learn to write.
Well, things. It was in my head as we were talking, and then I started talking about the schedule, and it went away. Anyway, last night, if you remember, Florida victorious. Doring did a sit down at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill with the 2 QBs, Graham Mertz and DJ Lagway.
Very nice.
I do know that they will replay that for the members of Florida Victorious on their website. Cool. Also, this Friday, We're going to have Patrick Young on the program Friday after JC.
That's
JC
great.
will be leading off for Patrick Young. Patrick's
That's
going to do
awesome.
a book signing at Spurrier's next Tuesday.
Great.
He'll tell us all about that. So make sure if you're in the area and you want to get a book and talk to Patrick and get it signed, go see him next Tuesday afternoon. But we'll get all the information on Friday.
He's done a good job on the SEC network.
He's outstanding.
He's really been good, and he's really overcome a lot. And so I'm sure he'll tell you all about it on Friday, and that's something you won't want to miss for sure.
Josh says, QB just wanted to say we don't need an OC. We're not getting an OC, but we do need to throw deep more. I agree. Baseball and softball programs are elite programs, and basketball is starting to cook again. Let's go Gators. Basketball is picking up a lot of good players. So we'll see. 31 and Burke says Florida State has fallen off a lot from last year. They're closer to the team that got blown out by Georgia than the team that went 13-0. They lost a lot of good players in the NFL. A lot of their guys have transferred. Nothing against DJ. I do not know that kid, but I've seen him play a lot of football, and I would not want to be calling plays for him. That's all I could say.
Very immobile quarterback. He tries to run once in a while. He's got a good arm, but I just think the game's fast for him. It goes fast. And when he was in the ACC a year before last, he wasn't really lighting up anything. Even in the ACC with Clemson, think about it. You're playing for Clemson. That's usually the standard bearer in the ACC, and he was nothing special, in my opinion. Now, he goes to Oregon State. That's a whole different world out there, much different conference. He's coming back now to play in the ACC. Okay, we'll see what Norvell can do with him, but I'm not.
Mike says on Facebook, JC, the only 18-hole course down there where you only have to use one club.
Really?
You ever heard of that?
No, I did not know anything about it. I did not know they even had a golf course on this tiny little island. But I will tell you, flying across from Miami here at 16,000 feet, going over the Florida Keys and seeing Key Largo and Isla Mirada and Marathon, you've seen all these little islands in the road that stretches all the way to Key West, man. It looks like it would be a heck of a cool drive to drive from Miami to Key West, in your
minivan.
Yes, of course. You got to have room. But even if you took a convertible, you took a convertible or something, took the roof off and you drove.
How about your Corvette?
Yeah. So, it's and that is a convertible. And it just looks like a really fun drive. But it is a long damn way to Key West from Gator Country. A long way. You are in it does feel like, I do feel like.
Could you imagine if Key West High School, I don't know what their record is in high school football, but could you imagine if they qualified for the state championship and had to go to Tallahassee to play in it?
It's crazy. It's like traveling to another state.
Multiple states. All right, Matt on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, says, QB, I keep hearing people arguing with you regarding whether softball's an elite squad. Here are the SEC stats. UF's number one in overall wins, batting average, slugging percentage, on base percentage, fielding percentage. No question they're an elite. They're very elite. Now, just because if they lose tonight doesn't mean they're not elite, okay?
This is a very hot topic on the podcast.
It really is. All right. Chris from Cottondale on the Titan MR text line. The biggest move of the all season was DJU to the Knolls. I did everything short of getting on my knees and praying for it to happen. We have a really good shot to win in Tally with DJU as their QB. Amen.
So long. It's so far away, though. So much is going to happen before that game, and so many things can be different from the beginning of the season to the end of the season. But I hear what you say on paper. You got to like your chances. And, again, Florida can really wake up a lot of folks around the country if they get out to a fast start. That is a very big opportunity, and it will matter. They need to do that.
Tony says friends of his went to Key West High School and played sports. It's a mess. Yeah. They have to cram a ton of games into 1 or 2 day clusters, and teams do not want to travel to them. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. I don't even know where the closest high school to them is.
It's got to be up there in the Key Largo, Miami, South Miami area, and that's just a long damn way away. That would be like for Buchholz or Gainesville High School's closest game to be in Marianna, Florida, or to be south of Orlando or Tampa. It's a long way. But you know what? It's a cool place. It's a cool place, but it's a very different place. And I don't think sports is the primary objective here. I just don't.
No. If you're pretty good at sports, you need to go into the transfer portal, high school transfer portal. Let's get to this day in sports, brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Put your star power to work in your financial life with Campus USA Credit Union. This day in sports in 2004. Where'd it go? Anyway, I don't understand this website anymore. In 2004, the San Diego Chargers selected our man Eli Manning with the number one overall pick. He held out, raised hell, ended up going to the Giants. So the draft is tomorrow night. We'll talk a little bit with Mike Morgan. He loves the draft.
Oh, yeah.
JC, are you?
Yeah.
Wait, first of all, I don't even know who your NFL team is because it changes week to week.
It does. Sometimes I like the Jaguars. Sometimes I like the Rams. I guess the Rams are the team I watch when I'm, sitting there, and I really want them to win regardless of who they play. So it's the Los Angeles Rams. Used to be a season ticket holder for the LA Rams, but I never got out to LA, so I quit. But the Rams are going to be good. They protected Matt Stafford last year, and that's why they made the playoffs. But, QB, you were talking about the over-under on quarterbacks in the first round. I'm kind of thinking now it might be over 4.5.
It might. I just don't know how I don't think those other guys are first-round quarterbacks. So,
I heard a lot of folks driving down to Orlando to catch the plane yesterday talking about how high they are on J.J. McCarthy, and you were saying just the opposite.
Well, I don't watch a lot of tape. I just watch what I've seen. Now, maybe he was handcuffed in Harbaugh's system, but sure. Between McCarthy, Bo Nix, and Michael Penix, I think Michael Penix is a really good thrower of the football, but he's going to get broken in half in that league. He's so beat up. I just don't know about those guys being your number one franchise quarterbacks. I think the other three have a chance. Now, not all of them are going to pan out. It never does, right?
Right. That's right. No, it's right. But I think you've got two can't-miss guys in Daniels and Caleb Williams. I think those are truly can't-miss guys.
I think Drake May is the can't-miss guy.
Okay, that's true. But the Commanders are the number 2 team picking, and there's no question they're going to take Daniels in my mind. So you've got two quarterbacks going 1 and 2. I don't remember the last time that happened. But there's other team like the New York Jets that have to protect Aaron Rodgers, and they're going to go for an offensive lineman. I think that is an automatic, absolute 1,000%er, because if Aaron Rodgers doesn't play, the Jets are trying. They traded Zach Wilson to the Broncos, who then changed their uniform. I mean,
they're terrible.
Sean Payton is destroying this franchise. What is he doing?
Sean Payton has nothing to do with the uniforms, JC.
I know, but he is. I guess it's just me, but they do not resemble the damn Denver Broncos at all. Gets rid of Russell Wilson, which I guess was a good thing.
I had no problem with that. I don't think Russell can play.
But Pittsburgh wants him, and Pittsburgh wanted him, and that's where he is. He took batting practice with the
Pittsburgh
Pirates.
Wanted him so bad they went and traded for Justin Fields.
True. Well, I mean, they gave up nothing for Justin Fields. They gave up a 6th round, and Chicago happily let him go to the Steelers for 6th round. I mean, they sold him away for a song, basically. So Pittsburgh really didn't have to pay for Justin Fields. And if you ask me, if you can pick up a guy for free like that, you just do it. I mean, why wouldn't you just do it? But I hear what you're saying. Russell Wilson, to me, is still a question mark. But Mike Tomlin wanted him, so that's where he is.
Yeah, Tony says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel, Rand Carthon is from Key West High School.
Okay.
I did not know that.
The Conch Republic. They have a flag here called the Conch Republic. It's a blue and gold flag with a sun. It's all over the place here. So Rand Carthon, he was a Florida State guy, right?
No, he played for the Gators. Rand
Carthon played for the Gators. I'm thinking of another one. But I did not know he went to Key West either, QB.
Yeah, Chris asks, what are my thoughts on Bo Nix in the NFL? He doesn't see him as a star. I don't either. Bo's very athletic. Bo plays schizophrenic to me. He makes me nervous every time.
Don't you like the way he passed the ball? I mean, just throwing it, he was better with Oregon than he was with Auburn, QB.
Well, it was a different system. It let him run around, and I don't know. I have nothing against Bo Nix. I just don't see it.
Okay. Well, you saw, if you watched Oregon football, you saw something. He had 4,000 yards throwing the ball.
Well, everybody that plays for Oregon throws for 4,000 yards.
They do.
Yeah, go look at all their stats. The last quarterbacks.
Oh.
Guarantee you.
Well,
Joseph has a stat here for us on Facebook Live. He says Scotty Scheffler's been ranked number 1 for 73 weeks. To catch Tiger's record of weeks ranked at number 1, Scheffler would have the top spot continuously until October 21st, 2035.
Well, and the stat that blew my mind was the number of rounds consecutively without a bogey before this.
Somebody actually sent a message on the Titan MR text line. I'd have to find it. There's 1,000 of them on there, and I just they sent it like after the program, said you were wrong on that, JC.
Well, I'm not, because he had a double bogey on Thursday in South Carolina, and he went 30 some odd rounds without making.
So he did not make. They said he made a bogey in the Masters. He did make a bogey in the Masters.
I don't think so.
Yeah, he did. He bogeyed number 10. He hit it right over the flag stick on number 10, chipped it on, and then two-putted.
You might be right about that. Yeah.
All right, actually, JC, you're giving out false information to all the listeners around the world.
Well, there was just this stat they kept putting up there talking about Tiger Woods in 2000 and 2001 having 50 some odd rounds without a bogey, which is I can't even imagine. I mean, and that stat was up there. What the hell did I see? But Scotty was in the 30s. Okay, I'll just say that. He was in the 30s, and he played the TPC in Bay Hill without a bogey. But I think the viewer is absolutely right about that bogey.
Tony says you're MSNBC.
I am. I mean, and I'm in Key West, where, the air is different here. So maybe I forgot Rand Carthon played for the Gators, for God's sakes. This is what happens when you go to Key West.
Is Rand Carthon... Is he the general manager, president of the Titans now? Which running back for the Gators did that?
I don't know.
Tony, let me know, Tony. Who is the Gator running back that used to work for the 49ers that just took over control of the Tennessee Titans?
That used to work for the 49ers?
Yeah. It's not Rand Carthon, but it's one of those it's going to drive me. Yeah, it is Rand. Yeah, he's in charge of the Tennessee Titans now.
Wow, good for him.
Yeah.
Well,
but he played at Florida State, according to JC.
Well, it's a long. Yeah. Yes.
All right, JC, we got to get to our picks. Our Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry for Charlotte surrounding areas. Visit them at peachlanddental.com. Our man Joe, I have something that I told Joe I was going to ship him last week. I've yet to get to the post office, but Joe, it's coming. Don't worry, it's coming, my friend.
There you go.
All right, so this week is over in New Orleans. It's the team event, which is kind of weird, but it's something different.
I like it.
I will let you go first, JC.
All right. We're going to go with Sahith Thigala and Will Zalatoris to start things off. Two big hitters and two guys that should put the ball on the green for many birdie putts.
Okay, well, I was going to take them, but now I'm going to take the Cantley Shoffley.
For goodness sakes. Okay, let me go with the Asian connection of Colin Morikawa and Kurt Kitayama.
Now, why are they Asian? They're both Americans.
Well, I know, but they have Asian heritage. So I'm going to go with Morikawa and Kitayama.
I'm going to go with the Gator team of Tyson Alexander and Billy Ho.
That's a good homer pick there. Billy Ho coming off a win. He needed that, and he got it down in the Dominican Republic at somewhere. All right, let's go with the last team. Man, this is slim pickings, QB. This is slim damn pickings here. I'm going to go with Rory McIlroy and Shane Lowry, the two Irishmen.
Oh, Northern Ireland team.
I've got a very international flavor this week, even though you said Morikawa and Kitayama are American. They are, but they are Japanese.
Kitayama, I believe, was coached by J.C. Deacon at UNLV. All right, I'm going with some Canadians.
Okay.
I'm going with the team of Corey Connors and Taylor Pendrith.
Wow.
So I got an all Gators team,
an
all Canadian team, and an all California team.
Nice. Okay, there you have it. And I've got Thigala, Zalatoris, Kitayama.
There's no connection there.
And Kitayama, Morikawa, McIlroy, and Lowry. And if you want to extend the Peachland Dental Picks contest, I'm going to go forth and say the Celtics sweep the Heat. I think the Thunder will lose to the Pelicans tonight. Somehow, I don't know why, but the Pelicans, they play hard. And then in hockey, you've got Boston and Toronto tied 1-1. You've got Dallas trying to get their first win against Vegas. That's a tough matchup. They're down 1-0. And the Kings should probably get swept by Edmonton. Those are your current hockey games. The Panthers beat my Lightning last night in overtime. That was disappointing and heartbreaking to see. Now the Lightning have to win 4 out of the next 5 games if they can to win that series. I don't think it's going to happen. Florida's going to move on. Colorado gets the win. Nashville beats Vancouver, and the Rangers are up 2-0 on the Caps.
All right, Andy's got a question here. I've not heard of this, but he wants to know what's your take on the $100 million equity payment Tiger will be receiving to stay loyal to the PGA?
Well, my take would be good for him. He doesn't win. He's not competitive, and he's going to get $100 million.
But I mean, I've not heard anything about that.
I don't know anything about it either, but I would say, payday for Tiger. The guy doesn't, he's incapable of winning anything of any substance. He can barely walk 18 holes 4 days in a row, but they're going to give him $100 million. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, what's he going to do? He's going to go play live in shorts and T-shirts and everything and go walk around some golf course that nobody's heard of? I mean, really, why do you have to pay this guy $100 million? He doesn't need it, but you're going to do it anyway. If that happens, it's just a lucky day for Tiger. I mean, like he needs $100 million. Like I need a hole in my head. But whatever.
He says Roy's getting $50 million.
Hey, it's all about money with this golf thing. Everything is money. It's all money. We talk about how irritating it is to watch high school kids get paid or college kids get paid. And then we're letting these guys that fly around on their own jets all over the world cash in.
Well, that's why I used to say golf and tennis were the best professional sports. You did have a little bit of money from your endorsements, but if you did not perform, you did not get paid.
Yeah. Well,
it's total. The whole environment has changed now, though.
Well, it just flows down to us, the payer, the watcher, the viewer, and that's how everything seems to work these days.
But speaking of the live, because we're going to get to Mike Morgan, I have yet watched one swing or one putt of the live because I don't even think it comes on my TV.
I don't know what their distribution is either, QB. It's the biggest waste of time and the most talked about nothing that I've ever seen. John Rahm has been forgotten. Nobody talks about Cam Smith. Nobody talks about Koepka until we get to the majors. During that time, between the majors, nobody talks about these guys. Nobody. They don't compete anymore. Dustin Johnson looked lost at Augusta last week. But whatever it is, good for them. They can cash out and build an empire. I don't care. I just want to watch competitive golf, and the only place to watch that is the PGA Tour. That's it. Or watching me battle you somewhere in the Utah.
Well, Jason, you got to show up.
Dude, I'm in Key West. I got business. To do. I can't sit around all week and play golf 4 days a week. I'd love to. Maybe one day. Oh,
yeah. That's what everybody does.
That's what you boys do. You go to UF 4 days a week. Are you kidding?
No.
But I don't blame you.
We have 2 times 4 days a week. That doesn't mean everybody shows up those days.
I don't blame you. If I could do it, I would too. Maybe retirement.
You have plenty of time, JC. Plenty of time. All right, JC, we're going to get to Mike Morgan, and we're going to talk a little NFL.
I like Mike.
Have fun down there. Stay away from those weird bars, JC.
Okay. I'll be in St. Augustine Friday. God bless. Have a good one. Go, Mike.
That's JC. Join us on the Titan More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. Take a quick time out. Come back while Mike Morgan from the SEC Network. You're watching and listening to PodUp Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back. We want to take this moment to thank our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official injury and accident law attorneys of the Florida Gators. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Campus USA, put some star power to work in your financial life with Campus USA Credit Union.
Comfort Temp. Comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise.
Dave & Buster's Eat, Drink, Play, Watch. Radware, your local provider of promotional products, uniforms, and apparel. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Silverback Concrete, Ruse Ogre State Farm Insurance, Radware, F45, Quality Plumbing. Our touchdown sponsors are Adams Ribs, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteak, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Dowling Signs, Baker Sporting Goods. If you're interested in promoting your business on the show, call Freddie at 352-284-3733. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Hi there, this is Coach Steve Spurrier, and I want to let you know that by popular demand, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill's delicious brunch is now served in a premium buffet. You have spoken, we have listened, and we're now serving Gainesville's only elevated buffet, complete with an omelet station, ginger sage chicken sausage, shredded short rib, and of course our chicken and waffles. Plus, you can enjoy bottomless mimosas and Bloody Marys. So join us every Saturday and Sunday from 11 to 3 for the best brunch in town.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Ruse Ogre State Farm Office is a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visitogreinsurance.com. Give them a call at 352-240-1779. We're going to go to the Titan Tomorrow hotline now, courtesy of Comfort Temp, and this guy is brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Our man Mike Morgan from the SEC Network. How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing well, man. I feel like I'm being shortchanged because I'm always, competing with JC for the best background. I'm always jealous. He's got that pool patio background. But then I saw you this morning, and he's down there in Key West with just kind of like an office thing. And I'm here in Studio South in South Florida, which is a drive to Key West that I've made many times. In fact, I mentioned this my junior year. We played Key West High School in football.
How long was that drive?
So I'm in Palm Beach County. It probably is about 5 hours.
Oh,
yeah. About
I took a charter bus, right? You didn't take a yellow dog.
We didn't have that kind of budget back in the day, my friend. We took a good old yellow school bus, 4 to 5 hours. Some kids went with their families, but no, we played there. And as far as I know, it was the only high school there. But it was an awesome trip. I mean, we took it as like a field trip, and then, oh, by the way, we played a football game. And there are some athletes that have come out of there. Do you remember the name Khalil Green? He was an All-American shortstop at Clemson, played like 7-8 years in the bigs.
Mm-hmm.
Was a terrific baseball player. He was from Key West. His parents were hippies. And he grew up in Key West, just happened to be an awesome baseball player. But there are some athletes down there. And if you live in South Florida, it's not uncommon for people to make that drive. The drive from Miami to Key West is some of the most beautiful. You go on the 7 Mile Bridge, you go on all these small roads through the different keys from Largo to Isla Mirada to Longboat, all the way to Key West. It's a great experience if you can do it.
Yeah. So JC's down there for some work, I guess. Lucas has a question here on Facebook Live brought to you by Mel Law. Says, QB, what is your take on the Gators not being as aggressive in the spring portal? Well, it just opened up last week. Supposedly we're getting a kid from USC, a highly recruited offensive lineman. Shoot, I don't know. Like I said, I trust Billy and the staff, their evaluation of talent that they brought into the portal has been some of our best players. So we'll see. Mike, what is your take on these kids that go in the portal multiple times? Like, I don't have a problem with the guy not whether there's been a coaching change or, he's stuck and he's not going to play. Every athlete wants to play. I have no problem with moving one time. But these kids that are bouncing around 2, 3, 4 times, I just don't understand it.
Well, I think you do understand it, Shane. I just think you're like me. You don't like it. and fans don't like it because there's nothing more to understand other than it's a money grab. It's who's got the biggest bag.
Well,
right?
I'm saying, okay, let's say, for example, Florida had a defensive lineman, Will Norman, who transferred out. He was highly recruited, didn't play a whole lot here, transferred to Marshall.
Right.
Well, he hasn't even played a game for Marshall. He's back in the portal.
Yeah. Yeah. And look, the kids that here, I have sympathy for the kids that aren't getting any play, right? They're buried on the depth chart, and maybe they were like in that example, and I don't know that specific case as well as you do, but in that example, maybe he realized, okay, the SEC is a little bit out of my league. I will go down a classification, if you will, and play in the Sun Belt for Marshall, which is where they are now. I keep wanting to say Conference USA, the MAC. They bounced around from league to league. It's hard to keep up sometimes. That I understand. Like I'm all for that. But the kid that goes from he's playing a bunch at one school and then he transfers to an equal school, another Power 4 conference, and plays, well, why are you leaving? Because you didn't get along with the coach? No, it's just they offered more money. They offer more money. And when you look at the portal now and you see guys that are starters at one SEC school and leaving for another, it's a money grab. I mean, why? Let's go. How about ETN, right? Why does ETN leave Florida for Georgia? Somebody could say, well, because Georgia's playing for championships. You honestly believe that is the reason why he left? Something tells me it had to do with the offer that came down the pike for NIL. And that's in 90+% of the times that you see these moves made, it's a financial deal. That's it. It's pure free agency.
Yeah. I'll be very surprised if he gets more carries at Georgia than he did for the Florida Gators.
Right. But that's the point. I will
be shocked.
I agree with you. I mean, look, South Carolina had 2 kids transfer leading up to last year. They had a all-around tight end, fullback, H-back, and Jaheim Bell, who started and was one of their best players. He went to Florida State. And they had another kid, Marshawn Lloyd, who would have been their starting run. He would have easily been their number 1 running back. That kid would have he might have led the SEC in carries. He would have been like Schrader at Mizzou. What does he do? He transfers to Southern Cal. Neither one of them got any better. Neither one of them had better stats. I'm looking at the draft boards, and Lloyd is projected to be a 4th-round pick, and Jaheim Bell will be lucky if he's a 7th-round pick. So they didn't enhance their draft stock at all. So why did they leave one SEC school in South Carolina to go to Southern Cal and Florida State? Is it because, they thought they were going to win more games? They got more money. They got paid. And that's where we are in today's day and age of college football, just like the NFL. Why does a guy leave a winning team to go to the Tennessee Titans? Because the Titans paid more money, and that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, you're right. On the Titan MR text line, Jack from Talladega says, Mike, what are your thoughts on the Braves so far this year?
Look, I think they're going to win their 7th consecutive divisional title. Philadelphia will be the only resistance. However, I'm not going to lie to you. It's April 24th, and they're gonna win a ton of games, and people are going to feel good about themselves because it's still the best lineup in the National League. But when you lose Spencer Strider, that's your ace, man. And as good as Alex Anthopoulos is at making moves, and he's as good as anybody in the business, I don't think you replace a Spencer Strider. You might not feel that loss in April or June or September, but you will feel it in October. And that's what really, when that news came, it kind of made me a little sick to my stomach because I know how important that kid is for the Braves to have any chance of winning a World Series title.
Live a healthier lifestyle with our bold, flavorful smoothies and our amazing food. Tropical Smoothie. When you eat better, you feel better. Got Mike Morgan on the Titan MR hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp and Campus USA Credit Union. All right, Mike, let's talk draft. You love the draft.
Yeah, man.
I mean, so are you just going to be sitting down with your popcorn and soda pop watching the entire draft tomorrow night?
Not only that, I will DVR Friday and Saturday. I won't be able to sit in front of the TV the whole time, but I will watch every pick at the podium, all the way from number 1 to Mr. Irrelevant in the 7th round. Shane, I'm a sick person. I know this. I need help. I need therapy for a lot of reasons. This is just one. But yeah, I love it. To me, it's by far and away the most entertaining thing that doesn't involve a game, right? I mean, there's no scoreboard. There's not a winner or a loser, although some would argue they're going to be winners and losers in terms of who teams draft. But I can't get enough of it because I love both college and pro football, and I love what goes into this. I love some of the guesswork. I love that somebody's going to draft a quarterback in the top 15 and going to be terribly wrong, and somebody else is going to be terribly right. I love the fact that some people are convinced Drake May is going to be a franchise quarterback for 12 years, and others think the kid's going to fall flat on his face. And some people are going to be right, and some are going to be wrong. And I love all aspects of that.
Speaking of Drake May, Andy's question for you on Facebook Live brought to you by Mel Law. What's your opinion of the comparisons being made between Drake May and Ben Roethlisberger? I have not heard that, but that's a pretty good comparison. However, Drake May can move and run.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, Shane, because there's a lot of Drake May hate going on. And I'm amazed by it, quite frankly. So let me set the table straight on Drake May. And I had Drake's spring game a year ago, and I got a chance to sit down and talk with the kid. He's incredibly impressive, and he's a physical specimen. He is every bit of 6'4", 6'5". And remember, his brother Luke played on the Tar Heel national championship team as a great basketball player, and he is like a basketball athlete. And the key word is athlete. He led the Tar Heels in rushing the year before last. He had like 900 yards on the ground. He's not like immobile, but some people look at him and they assume he's unathletic. Folks, he's one of the most athletic players in the draft. He absolutely can run. And people say, well, he did not look good this last year. You know what? He did not in a lot of key moments. But let me throw something else out there. While Michael Penix is throwing to his pick of NFL wideouts from Rome Odunze, who I think might actually turn out to be better than Marvin Harrison. That's my hot take of the wide receiver draft. To two other dudes that'll be playing on Sundays. Drake May was throwing that he lost Josh Downs from the year before. That was his go-to guy. He didn't have an NFL wide receiver. He didn't have a good college receiver on that roster. So he's down. He's getting the ball and he's looking downfield, and there's nobody open. And so he made some bad decisions. He had some bad mistakes. And so film is not going to be kind to him if you look at this past year. If you look at the year before, and an NFL scout that's really doing his homework will know this, then you saw what Drake May is capable of doing when you give him some weapons. That's why he's going to be the number 3 pick in the draft, despite all these carnival barkers on morning TV saying, I don't see it. I think he's overrated. I think he's this. Okay, well, that's great that you think that, but don't start spitting out facts that aren't true. He's absolutely athletic. He's got a cannon of an arm. He's got size. He's got acumen. He's a coach's dream. Go ask Mac Brown how his attitude was throughout the year. I think Drake May is going to be a very good quarterback at the next level.
I agree. Ace's question brought on Facebook Live brought to you by Mel Law. What round is Ricky Pearsall going in your opinion?
Second.
I think he's a guy. I'm gonna let you talk about him, but I think Ricky's a guy that's going to play a long time in the league because he can do everything and he can return punts.
Yeah. There are 3 SEC guys. I do a college football podcast, JC and Morgan, and I was breaking down this the other day. The top SEC players that are going to go at every position. And the SEC, when it comes to wide receiver, is going to have a very busy night. Of course, you got the LSU cats, right? I mean, they're going to Neighbors and Thomas. They're going to be top 15 guys, if not higher. But late first, early second, you're going to see 3 guys from the SEC that you know and love. You're going to see Ladd McConkey, who, again, don't judge a book by its cover, runs a 4.39 and crushed the cone drill. Nobody could cover him at the combine. Like he made himself a lot of money. The more you watch him on film, the more you will fall in love with Ladd McConkey. He could slip into the late first round, but my guess is early second for him. You got Xavier Legette, terrific wide receiver, athlete out of South Carolina. He was hurt a lot of this past year, but he could be late first round, early second. And then I put Ricky Pearsall in that same bucket that he's probably going to be second round, And I'm with you, Shane. I mean, the size, the speed, and I can't stress this enough, and this is my favorite position on the field as wide receivers, so route running. Like there are a lot of guys that can run a great 40 that are tall and have a big wingspan, and they can't separate because they don't run great routes. Pearsall is the absolute opposite of that. I mean, he was the game breaker for Florida all year at that position. Whenever you needed a key reception, he was the guy that Graham Mertz went to. So I think second round, and I think he's going to have a very successful career at the next level.
Yeah, I forgot Lad McConkey was in this draft. I think he, with the things that he can do,
Stud.
yeah, he's a player, and I think Pearsall. Those are guys. They may not be the number one guy on their ball club, but they're going to be guys that are going to play a long time in this league, for sure. Mike, a couple people asked on Facebook Live and YouTube as well. What do you think the Jags should do?
Ooh, I was just talking about this. The quarterback class of 3 years ago. Do you realize Trevor Lawrence is the only guy that hasn't been traded from that class?
Really?
Because you had Trevor Lawrence go one. You had Wilson in the top 5 to the Jets. He's been traded, basically dumped. Trey Lance traded, dumped. Justin Fields traded with the hope that he can become something good. And Mac Jones traded, dumped.
Wow.
That was the dream team class of 2021. All those guys I just mentioned were top 15 picks. They were all quarterbacks that were supposedly had bright futures, and they all obviously flopped. But my point is that Trevor Lawrence is the one guy that still has a chance. I don't think Trevor Lawrence has been as great as people had hoped. Now, it's early, right? Like at times he flashes, and at times he makes too many mistakes. He's had fumbling issues. He's had turnover issues, but they need some help. I think they might go defense, actually. I'll throw another SEC name at you for the Jags because they're at, I think, 17. They're right in there in the middle part of the first round. Terrion Arnold, defensive back, Alabama. Like that's your shutdown corner. And the Jags could certainly use some help on that side of the football. I mean, they've got weapons on offense. I don't know if they go offense with that pick. It just feels to me like they could go D, but that's the one name I'll throw out there. 17's a crapshoot to try to predict who exactly is going to be taken, but that's the kind of athlete that you could have there around mid-first round.
Yeah, that's I didn't even realize that till you told us about the quarterbacks in that draft class.
Isn't that crazy?
I mean, and think about it. As you said, Trevor's the only one still at his team that drafted him. And I do think he's got potential to be a really good player.
I do too.
But it goes to show you he's clearly better than all those other guys that have been traded and dumped.
Not even close. Not even close. You got to remember the hype was so big surrounding him coming out of Clemson that I think people thought he was going to be top 3, top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL by now. And he's not there yet. I mean, there's no indictment on that. He's just not that transcendent guy yet. Maybe the light goes on this year.
We had a couple of people ask yesterday. We had Steve Palazzolo on from Pro Football Focus. We had a ton of texts regarding Kyle Trask down in Tampa. What's his future look like? What do you think's going to happen with Trask when it's all said and done? I said when he came out, my opinion on Trask, and he's one of my son's best friends. He's a guy that probably won't ever be a starter in the league, but will last 10 or 12 years as a backup.
I think your assessment is spot on. There was a time when, like, you and I maybe were kids, where a quarterback got drafted rather high, first, second round, and you knew he was going to be on the bench for 2-3 years before he was the man. And that was normal. That was common. And so you just had to learn on the bench. You had to learn behind the starter. And then eventually when you got up there, you were ready and you could handle the playbook and you could handle. Those days are done. So many of these quarterbacks that are going to be drafted tomorrow are going to be expected to start on day one for their NFL team. So circle back to Trask. He's been in the league a couple years now, and clearly he's got the label as he's a backup. And I think that's where he's slotted. Every now and then you have that miracle story where the starter goes down and the guy who looks like he's a career backup gets his opportunity and he shines and then he never relinquishes the job. I don't think that's the case of Kyle Trask. I'm with you. I think he's a backup for 10 years and makes a lot of money and enjoys a good life, but he's not going to be a regular NFL starter.
Yeah, for sure. All right, before we get you out of here, Mike, this is a very long text on the Titan and More text line from Jimmy, and it's basically regarding Gator baseball and Sully. We've had people on here. Sully needs to go, which is ridiculous.
Come on.
It's been a disappointing year. We get that. His question is there a chance, or do you think the Gators miss out on postseason play this year?
I mean, it's possible. They're going to have to. There's work to be done. There's meat left on the bone, and we could be talking about a postseason that does not involve the two teams that played for the national championship, Florida and LSU. I mean, do you think people in Baton Rouge are saying, "Let's fire our coach right now because we might not make the postseason"? I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
To even think that Kevin O'Sullivan has done things that no other coach has ever done in Florida baseball history. Like, it took forever to find the guy that could consistently be as good as Florida has and to finally get over the hump and win a national title. But let me remind you, LSU has had seasons where they have not made the postseason. Arkansas, the modern day most consistently good baseball program in the league. I've had games where Dave Van Horn just would tell me, like, Mike, this year's we don't have it. We're not going to make it. And they didn't. They didn't make the postseason. So if LSU and Arkansas and Texas and insert, NCAA powerhouse baseball program can have a year where they struggle or scuffle and don't make the postseason, you don't think Florida has that potential to have that year? It's baseball. It's 11.7 scholarships. It's if you lose a couple of pitchers, and I'm not saying this is the case in Florida, but if you do have that, you can't just make the phone call to AAA and bring somebody up. You're stuck with a roster that has holes in it. And Caglione is great, and you've got some star power on that team, but clearly they're just not that good compared to the powerhouses in the league. So if worse comes to worse, and they don't make the postseason, I would tell Gator fans, I have seen every elite program in the history of college baseball have a year where they just don't have it and they fail to make it. You don't just fire your coach because of that, especially the most successful coach in program history. You know what you do? You get yourself back up off the mat in 2025, and I'll bet you Sully will be back in Omaha before you know it.
No doubt about it. Before we get you out of here, I know you're gearing up for the draft. Are you a Dolphins guy since you grew up in South Florida?
I'm a Dan Marino guy since I grew up in South Florida. I hope the Dolphins do well. I can't say I'm like a diehard Dolphin fan, but I definitely keep up with the franchise because when I was a kid, I used to go, season tickets. We go to a number of Dolphin games, but since those days, they've been a tough franchise to follow, quite honestly.
Yeah, for sure. Mike, let everybody know again how they can listen to your podcast.
Yeah, JC and Morgan, we talk college football year round, and we'll talk some NFL draft and everything else today as well. Well, we'll go on the air in about a half hour, but you can always catch it on Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, iTunes, just like this fine program, Shane. We're on every platform imaginable, and it's once a week, and we love to have fans from all fan bases, including the mighty Florida Gator fan base.
Indeed. Well, have a great weekend, my friend, and we'll talk to you next week.
You got it. I'll have my pen and notebook ready and charting every pick for the upcoming draft, Shane. I need help. I need therapy. Wish me well.
That's great. Good stuff, Mike. Appreciate it. That's
All
Mike
right.
Morgan. Join us on the Titan and More hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. He's brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Radware is a family-owned business that prides itself in excellent customer service while providing quality and affordable promotional products and customized apparel. Don't forget, tomorrow we'll have Brent Beard talk a little college football. Friday, don't forget, though, we will have live Patrick Young. Will be on here discussing his book signing that will be at Spurrier's next Tuesday. Hope everybody has a great day. Gator softball tonight against the Semis. Take care.